healthy and beautiful. I will love the land, the air, the water, and all living creatures. I will be a defender of my planet, united with friends. I will save the earth.
My name is Commissioner Frank Avila. I'm a commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. And the name of our show is the first Today Inspired Latina Woman of the Year recognition. And I have here the person that received the first recognition. And she is Tamika Lachey Morales. Thanks for being on our show, Tamika.
Thank you for having me, Frank. I appreciate you.
Boy, it was a great honor to receive the first recognition. You know, a lot of people don't know what is Today Inspired Latina. What is it?
So today's Inspired Latina, I kind of say it's a movement. It is literally Latina women who are coming together and they're owning their power. They have basically gone through some adversity, which the world could relate to, and they've allowed their adversity to become their advantage. And with that, it's literally a bunch of Latina women who are coming together and really owning their power, pushing and elevating other women with the belief system that when one of us rise, we all rise.
Yeah, and you know, you could apply that, your group could apply to everyone.
Absolutely.
In the world.
Not just Latinas, women in general, men, as a matter of fact, young people today.
Yeah, and now what does it mean to have inspired and to have been recognized as the very first recipient of Today Inspired Latina Woman of the Year?
Well, obviously, it's an absolute honor. I'm in volume 3, and we were already in the way of volume 4.
Okay, now explain the volumes. Now.
Okay, so because it is, I like to say it's a series, right?
Yeah.
It's Today's Inspired Latina, the original, then there's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, the 6th one that happened in Europe, and they're on to the 7th. So it's basically 26 women approximately. It's a compilation of stories, and they get put together in a volume. And each story is unique in its own way, and the whole world can read these stories and become encouraged and inspired by them.
And you're in the 3rd volume?
I am in volume 3.
Volume 3.
Yes. And so we got invited to a holiday party, which actually tonight we're having a holiday party to award the next one, which is awesome and exciting because the award moves on every year now. But to be amongst, at that time, what was 105 women, and to know that any one of us really can be recognized because of the great work we're all doing to work together collaboratively and in our own rights, so to speak. So to have inspired it, and for Jackie to have the divine download to actually make it into action, I think is just gracious for me. I'm just in a place of gratitude, you know, to be amongst such beautiful women who are out helping one another, elevating one another, and we all work together and collaborate and cheer each other on to be really, what I like to say, the best version of ourselves.
And you mentioned that your volume 6 was in Belgium?
That's right. It was, they did a European tour. They
went
to Paris and Amsterdam and Belgium, and it's been amazing.
So it's growing throughout
the whole
international
movement, literally an international movement.
Now, empowering Latina women, why is it so important to you?
Well, for me, I can tell you, I'm born and raised in New York. I'm a New Yorican, I like to say. And so growing up in, the projects, of New York, I can't tell you honestly that I had any mentors. And there was no one in my corner rooting whether I graduated from school or, had a dream of becoming a business owner or really taking on a leadership role in any way. And so I think it's so important for young people today, and you don't have to be Latino, just young people today to have someone who looks like them, that they can feel that can be me when I get older. And so I think it's crucial. I think it's necessary. And so I think it's important that when one of us rise, we all rise, and we help each other come up the mountain, and we give back and we extend our hand down to continue to do that. That's what makes the world a better place.
And what do they say about the pen? The pen is a mighty sword.
Oh,
writing?
Writing.
Yes.
I have to be honest with you. I don't think I would have found my calling
Yeah.
right now if it wasn't that I was writing. You know, I kind of say that writing healed me from what I was going through.
Yes.
And it honestly kind of empowered me.
Yes.
So I agree. I think words are powerful. That's why they say be impeccable with your words. They can lift someone up as easy as they can cut someone down.
Yes.
So I think stories are powerful, and they can move mountains, and they can help inspire anyone and encourage anyone to really know that whatever dream they have, they can make it happen and it can come true.
Now, how did you happen to meet Jackie and knowing about her project?
So I used to co-host a show actually here, and it was Inspira TV,
Yeah.
and it was with Paloma Greer, and she was part of the original Today's Inspired Latina,
Oh.
and she invited me to the Volume 2 book launch. And when I went, I was enamored. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, when you walk into a room and you've got nearly 500-600 people and you're hearing these stories that are
Yes.
just moving you emotionally, you can't help that energy that was in the room. I was like, I need to be a part of that. So I quickly scanned the room. She's the one in charge. I need to contact and connect with her. And that's kind of like how it happened.
Well, that's good. That's good. Making contacts.
Oh, you gotta be
Meeting people.
bold, right?
Well, bold, cannot be afraid.
You can't be afraid. And you know what?
And people are nice to you.
And, oh yeah, and not only that, but people, I think it's amazing what you get when you ask. I think people are too afraid to ask, and it's as simple as you just ask, and
Right.
you can make it happen.
And you're right. Ask.
Ask.
Don't be afraid.
That's what they say, right? What's the cliche? Ask and you shall receive.
Right. Now, the Autism Hero Project. What is it, and why is it so important to you?
So, specifically in today's Inspired Latina Volume 3, I wrote a story. And originally I wrote the story of my upbringing, you know, growing up in the projects of Coney Island, New York, and just kind of growing up in a vicious cycle that just needed to be broken. It's
Yes.
kind of like that childhood trauma, which is huge. And after submitting it to the editor, I realized that I had been sitting with something for nearly 2 years, and I wasn't able to talk about it. On June 4th, 2015, my son Maximilian was diagnosed with autism. And after asking the editor, can I change my story, and going back and forth with that, I started to write that story. And I say in writing that, it really began to heal me. And I went from a place of darkness into, I say, the light. And I started to realize the beauty in my son's story. And so I became an ambassador and advocate for autism. And I kind of decided to use my story to help families who were going through exactly what I was going through. And that's how the Autism Hero Project for me was born.
And how long did it take you to write that story?
Okay, so realistically,
Yes.
I was out of time, but I would say that it took me nearly a month to write, and you know, it's about 2,500 words, give or take.
Oh, yeah.
But it took a lot out of me.
Sure.
I think I cried. I don't know if I've ever cried so much outside of writing my first play, The
Yes.
New Eurekan, and it was almost like a healing that I needed. I really started to, you know, let it all out. And then I started to be able to make space and make room for the light. And so it took a while, but I'm excited with the work that we do with the Autism Hero Project, because I like to say that we do more than just create autism awareness. Frank, for me, it's not enough to be aware about autism if it doesn't activate you to be intentional about something. And so we are intentional about making the world a better place, to be inclusive of people like my son, and better yet, we buy medical insurance for children on the autism spectrum so that they can gain access to the much needed therapies to help them learn life skills and to communicate and to have those social skills and those life skills that they need to thrive and strive in this world today. And so that's what the Autism Hero Project
That's
does.
excellent. You know, can you explain what autism is for those who are not familiar with autism? Because a lot of people don't know.
You know, it's amazing
Yeah.
that even with all the awareness that's happening, there's so
Right.
much more awareness that needs to be had. And I think the complicated part about that is that autism isn't something that you can instantly recognize. You can't see a person and say, oh, that person is autistic, because it's not something that's physical necessarily. But autism basically is a neurological disorder that affects communication and social skills. And truthfully, it's a whole gamut of things, sensory and repetitive behaviors and the like. That's why it's called a spectrum, the autism spectrum disorder. And the spectrum is wide from high functioning, where the way I like to say that media likes to kind of convey autism as, like the good doctor and the accountant and the Rain Man. That's just one aspect of autism. Then there's the other end of the spectrum that's a lot more severe, where, they're nonverbal and they go into an adulthood nonverbal and they never can communicate and speak. Or there's a big percentage who are never potty trained even in adulthood. And can you imagine not being able to communicate any feeling, not just, it affects your eating, it affects your sleeping, it affects your digestive system. It's pretty severe, it can be. And so the gamut is wide, and so that's why one of my favorite sayings is, if you've met one person with autism, you've done exactly that. You've met one person with autism, because autism doesn't look alike in any two people.
Interesting. What do you want the world to know about autism?
I would like the world to know that we need to make space for these children today. 80% of the world that is affected by autism right now are children. And when 1 in 59 children are being born with autism, specifically 1 in 37 boys, according to the CDC, compared to 1 in 151 girls. That's almost 4.5 more times boys that are being diagnosed with autism. And when you have the statistics of 1 in 59 children being born with autism, these children one day are going to become adults.
1 in
59 children.
1 in 59 in America?
Yes. And the United States isn't even like the first with the biggest epidemic.
Yeah.
There are other countries like Japan and the UK that their statistics are even more alarming than here in the United States.
Interesting.
Yes.
And very few people know about this.
I know. It seems like, everybody's hearing about it now. It was almost like when ADHD came out, right?
Yeah.
There was nobody had heard of ADHD, and then it became this huge epidemic, and now everybody's got ADHD, right? Well, that's somewhat where autism is, but autism is much more severe in the way it can affect people. And so I think what I'd like the world to know is that we need to make space, and we got to meet people where they're at. And so we have to be intentional, truly, about inclusion, because they're going to be going into the workforce, and right now 90% of the population with autism are unemployed or underemployed, more than any special needs group. And so what are we doing to prepare our world so that they can be contributing members of society?
Yes.
And that's why early intervention is crucial, and that's why we buy medical insurance for ABA therapy.
Early intervention, you mentioned.
Early intervention.
Okay, now intervention. How about prevention?
Well,
Can we talk about, what is the cause of autism? I'm the commissioner of the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago.
Right.
And we treat all the human waste that comes into the facilities. And they want us to remove pharmaceuticals. They want us to remove toxic chemicals, which it's impossible for us to remove everything. Mm-hmm. So I go out and I talk about health prevention. And I talk about toxic chemicals in our food, in personal care products, because kids are being born today with adult diseases.
yes.
Now, we're talking about prevention.
Absolutely.
Now, autism, I believe that when a baby is born, if a mother has toxic chemicals in herself or buying toxic cosmetics, that when a baby is born, the synthetic, instead of having the real hormones, it's the synthetic hormones. It's these toxic chemicals. Mm-hmm. And that's why when they're being born with some type of diseases. Mm-hmm.
I
don't know how autism might come into this play, but could it be in the genes or could it be the environment?
So there is a big, within the autistic community, there's a lot of infighting, I'd like to say, because there is, there's people are screaming that, oh, it's genetic, and some people are screaming it's the vaccinations, and some people are screaming it's environmental. And so no one knows exactly what causes autism. And there is no cure for autism. You are born with autism, and it will never go away.
Yeah.
Even when people say, oh, I can cure autism, there's always those remnants that get left behind. And so that's why they say there's literally no cure for autism. So I think prevention is great, but we don't know what the cause is. I can tell you, though, that we did genetic testing.
Yes.
And our form of autism that my son has is not genetic. They actually said it's environmental. And so, interesting enough, you know, I'm mostly vegetarian. I'm a pescatarian. I've done the raw detoxes. I'm pretty healthy. You know, I work out, but I don't know what the cause is. And it could be in our food. It could be in our vaccinations. It could be genetic. It could be a compilation of all those things.
A product of food, clothes we buy,
right?
The air.
Exactly. And so I think until research comes forward and that's why they're doing a lot of, you know, genetic testing. They're doing a lot of, you know, checking people's DNAs to figure out. And, you know, there's a lot to do still. And so, God knows, I'd like to know what that is too. And I think a lot of mothers would too.
Yes. It's a topic that we should discuss. You know, there's more talk about other things going on in the world that's affecting people, but very few people are talking about the environment.
And you know what? The environment has a lot to do with it.
Yes.
Something that people don't realize, but there is over 50% probability that if you have been, you know, a child with autism and you have another child, it's over 50% likelihood that your next child will have autism.
Interesting.
And that's scary for a lot of parents. A lot of parents decide not to have another child because of those statistics, depending on what they go through.
Now you started, because of this, you started the Autism Hero Project.
Correct.
What kind of events have you put on? So it's because people would like to know and maybe attend some of your events.
Well, I'm so glad you asked. So I can tell you that in 2019 alone, we've done quite a few things that I'm extremely proud of. We've done a lot of firsts.
Yes.
So back in April, I partnered up with Michael Kendall, and we did our very first dance for autism during April Awareness Month at Joe's Live in Rosemont. And we had an amazing turnout between our partnership. There was over 600, close to 700 people that showed up. And so we had raffles and silent auctions, and we danced, and it was amazing. Another event that I'm extremely proud of is that here in the United States we put on, that I know of, the very first Autism's Got Talent. And it was amazing because every contestant had been affected with autism. And so we had anywhere from singers and dancers to spoken word to a young child who illustrated a story and told his story, to we had someone who rapped a song about his brother who's nonverbal, who's on the autism spectrum. And so it did a great job of creating awareness. We were intentional about inclusion. Everybody came in their favorite superhero shirt, and the world was so kind that day, I have to tell you. And then we just did our annual fundraiser dinner gala called The Beautiful People. And we had an amazing turnout with lots of sponsors, and we had a whole inclusion section that was done by a woman who has a business called My Busy Buddy Box. Hopefully I got that right. And we sang happy birthday to a young girl on Spectrum who had never had her birthday sang in front of a couple hundred people, and that was very emotional. And so we've put on some amazing events.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
And your headquarters here in the Chicagoland area.
Exactly. And we actually provide medical scholarships for everybody in the state of Illinois. So there is no limit, as long as you live in the state of Illinois, for you to be able to apply for one of our medical scholarships, where we will purchase medical insurance for your child.
Yeah, that's very important. Medical insurance.
We purchase medical insurance.
Because insurance is expensive.
Oh, yes, I can tell you.
Yes.
So we physically purchase medical insurance for children on the autism spectrum just so they can gain access, which, you know, I know we're working on it for the state of Illinois, and it should be coming, but, you know, it's sad when our states have these children who need access to be able to be contributing members of society, and the medical insurance, the state insurance, the Medicaid insurance does not cover the therapies that they need. And so I know that there's currently a bill here in Illinois that they're in the middle of working and fixing, but it needs to happen. So please write to your politicians and
Yeah.
please
Sure.
listen to your constituents. Something needs to be done.
You know, we're talking about your project, Autism Hero Project. How can people get involved with you? How can they get informed with your,
So
participating in your events?
there is a lot of ways. First of all, social media, the power of social media.
Yes.
Right? So you can follow us on Facebook. You can follow us on LinkedIn, the Autism Hero Project. But I have to be honest, it's about being intentional. We've had people reach out to volunteer and partner with us,
Yeah.
but I want to share a story.
Okay.
There is a restaurant in Arlington Heights that's called the Palm Court restaurant.
Court,
Yep,
yeah.
they've been around for decades. And they had a new owner, George, and I'm going to mess up his name, please forgive me. Actually, I won't even try. Just look up the Palm Court restaurant. And it was the month of April,
Yeah.
and he said, I would like to give back for all that you do for the autism community. And he invited myself as the Autism Hero
Yeah.
Project. And I co-founded with a bunch of amazing women.
Yeah.
Lula, Latinas United in Love for Autism.
Okay.
And a group of us went, and he literally splurged. We were able to order anything we wanted off
Yeah.
the menu. But it wasn't just that. It's not like he just wanted to treat
Sure,
us to a great
sure.
meal. He then gave us a check, and he said, we're not done. During the month of April, since Autism Awareness
Yeah.
Month is in April, although autism is every single day, all
Yes,
year,
yeah.
he had a little table tent on every table at his restaurant that said, if you purchase a key lime pie, we
Yes.
will donate $1 to the Autism Hero Project to fund their mission. And on the back of that tent was this beautiful little girl who, one of our Lula moms' daughter, and it kind of shared a little bit about her story and autism. And so I have to tell you, when companies are intentional about inclusion
Yeah.
and getting creative, he sold more key lime pies than he's ever sold
Sure.
before. So his profits and revenues increased. He was able to fund our mission to buy medical insurance for children. And it was a win-win for everybody, our organization, his company, and the children that we fund. And so there's creative ways. And then a gentleman read this in the Daily Herald, in the newspaper, and he contacted us and he says, listen, I'm a mechanic. I'd like to do something. And he said that story inspired him. He's like, maybe for the month of April, I can do oil changes and charge an extra $1 and advertise it. And it's literally
Sure.
inclusion is a win-win for everybody. Their sales increased, they're giving back to the community. People feel good to give.
Right.
People want to give.
And they're being part of the village.
And they're being part of the village.
Yes.
They're being intentional about being part
Yes,
of the
yes.
village.
And they
which
care.
is so
Yeah, yes, yeah.
needed, yes. So there's a lot of creative ways, Frank, that
Yeah.
people can be intentional.
Yeah.
It doesn't take much to think outside of the box. And if you want to get involved, companies, we're looking to partner up with companies. Please reach out to www.autismheroproject.org. Look us up on LinkedIn, look us up on Facebook. Reach out to us, email us, autismheroproject@gmail.com, and I will come up with a creative way for you to get involved.
Now, do you have a meeting once a month? Or?
Actually, I feel like we've been meeting every week. Every Monday we have a board meeting. But we meet every month, and then as we have events, we
Yeah.
meet every single week.
Every single week?
Right,
Wow.
but we create these steering
Yes,
committees
yeah,
so you can
yeah.
get involved and you can do as little
Yeah.
or as much as you want.
Sure.
We had kind of like a motto.
Yeah.
Our motto all year
Yeah.
for 2019 was little by little, a little becomes a lot. So you can do a little, you can do a lot.
Do you know what? My wife is a laughing teacher.
A laughy teacher?
Yes.
What does that mean? I've never heard
Laughing
that.
with no jokes,
Oh,
no humor, or no comedy. Just laugh to
Amazing.
improve your health.
you know, there's power in laughter.
Yeah,
It releases
laughing
endorphins, right?
is the best medicine.
It is.
Right, and endorphin. You just mentioned release the endorphins.
Absolutely.
And that's why she goes out and gives laughing talks.
I love it.
Yeah, you know the Canine comfort dogs. I don't know if you ever heard.
Yeah, Lawrence Hall has a whole section that does the canine comfort dogs.
You know, there's therapy dogs, there's service dogs, and there are
Absolutely.
police canine dogs. Well, these are canine comfort dogs.
Amazing.
They're golden retrievers, and they had a conference in Northbrook up there this summer, and they had her give a laughing session to the comfort dog leaders and handlers. and it was a big success, and they were all over, and they wanted her to travel throughout the United States to give a laughing session there.
Do you know what's powerful about that is that it's contagious, right?
Yeah,
Laughter
laughing is contagious,
right?
yes.
And when you feel that
Yes.
and those endorphins are released,
Endorphin,
it's
yeah.
almost like you want to give to
Yes,
somebody
right,
else, right?
right.
And that's kind of like how it's like the domino effect, right? It's like
Right.
energy passing,
yeah.
and it does wonderful things
Right.
to make the world, more tolerable, a better
Right,
place,
right,
a kinder
yeah,
place,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
so
so-
I think that's great.
So laughing, so there's a
Laughing
lot
is
of
powerful, guys.
Yeah, a lot of things that people can do to stay healthy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, see.
Absolutely. I remember reading a book, believe it or not. It was about breast cancer, and I wasn't affected by
Yeah.
breast cancer. I didn't know anyone at the time who was, but I remembered reading it, and they said the power of your mind believes what you tell it,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so they said those people who were more positive, right, who kind of just decided to laugh and
Yeah,
not let things
yeah,
kind
yes,
of
yeah.
affect them.
Yeah.
The study showed that their breast cancer had minimized
Right.
tremendously, and it's the
Well,
power.
you're taking less medication. As I mentioned, they want us to remove all the pharmaceuticals from our wastewater plants as we treat human waste, and we can't.
Right.
So I talk on prevention.
And it also talked about eating. Eating was
yeah,
a big,
eating, right.
Eating's a huge component of that. So.
Now, we got 2020 coming around now.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Literally
I'm on
right
the
around
corner. Oh, it's right here.
Oh my God! As we get older, this time
Oh,
just
yeah,
flies.
sure. Now, do you have a word of the year that you want to live by, or any New Year resolution? You can tell the audience now.
Okay.
2020
2020.
is right here.
So, in the past, I've done be bold, be unapologetic,
Yeah.
be fearless, and this year it was about really being intentional.
Yeah.
I think for 2020, I'd like to use the word defy.
Okay, define.
I want to kind of, along with that bold theme, I want to be able to defy the odds. I want to be able to kind of, you know how fear kind of cripples us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Fear is those stories
Sure.
we tell ourselves and we think we can't do certain things.
Yeah.
I want to kind of defy the odds, and I want to dare people and challenge them to think outside the box, or just believe in themselves to defy whatever their mind, those negative self-talks that we have, and just defy the odds. Know that you can do whatever you want, because when you do it, it inspires someone else
Yeah.
to do it. And it's kind of like that ripple effect that we were just talking about. So I hadn't put too much thought in it, but if I have to think on the spot, I think I want to be defiant.
Good,
In
excellent.
a positive way.
Yeah, now, we're coming to the end of our show now.
Okay.
But I would like our audience to really get involved with you on the Autism Project.
Thank you. Well, they can reach out, but I want to give you a gift for being a
Thank you.
hero for autism.
Oh, thank you.
So,
Thank you
wanna
very much.
open that?
Sure.
You now have become a hero for creating awareness for autism. And so that is the
Excellent.
Autism Hero Project Hero
Excellent.
shirt. Thank you for being a
Excellent.
hero, Frank.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Excellent show, Autism.
Autism.
Yes.
Autism matters.
Autism Matter. And for 2020, let's go out and help the Autism Project.
Thank you. Be intentional.
Yes.